everyone. I hope you guys are having a good week. Just recently, it was my friend's birthday, so I figured I might as well just draw something she likes. And there's like 4 things my friend likes the most. It would probably be horses, German shepherds, Loki, or maybe Marvel in general, and arson. Yeah, she's a handful. Rather than going the easy route and just like drawing dogs or something, I figured I'd just draw fire because actually before this, I had no idea how to draw fire. And I actually really wanted to, so today I'm going to be showing you how to take your drawings from this to this. So, let's get started. Here we have our little example of fire I already did over here, and this is going to be our color palette. I decided to choose regular fire colors, I guess, and then I also want to show you how you can replicate the same thing if you want to do more of like a magical effect. I already sketched some different types of fire, because the thing about fire is it really depends on what your style is, how you're going to draw it, and then it also depends on the situation you're in. Now, let's say like a building is on fire, you're probably going to want to draw these smaller flames, which sounds very strange that you would want the more tame looking fire, but if you do something too dramatic like this, it doesn't look as real for some reason. So this is good for larger areas that you want to cover with fire. Moving on to the next sort of flame, I would suggest this for more cartoony styles of art, or if it's fire for comedic effect, or this could also work if you're trying to make the fire seem more magical for some reason. Like if someone has superpowers or psychic powers or something, then this would seem much more fantastical than boring, regular looking fire like this. Next up we have sort of magic fire, I guess, which would be these two. This would be if you're drawing maybe like someone with superpowers or, like I said, some sort of like psychic fire ability, like Avatar. You can draw the fire differently depending on the character's personality. Just remember to use your shape language when designing powers for characters, and then you can decide which of these styles could be better, or maybe make up your own. Next up we have this sort of cloud looking thing. This is like an explosion cloud basically. I'm not very good at explosions. I don't really draw explosions. This would probably come up more if you draw maybe like comics or I don't know, maybe more action type things, but I figured I'd throw it in there because it's a good thing to know. And now we're gonna move on to the coloring. I'm gonna lower the opacity a little bit, and we're gonna start with this deep orange color. I'm gonna get my G pen, or actually I've learned that it's way better to use a lasso fill tool to fill things in. Alright, so we've got the base coat down. Now we gotta do the yellow glowy bit. So we start by selecting a yellow orangish color. It's about here on the color wheel if you can't see. I'll show you basically where it should kind of land in each of these types of fire, but one thing I will say is that make sure to do it on a new layer, and you should probably clip it to the base layer underneath, and it'll just make it look nicer. Alright, so we're gonna start with the short, stumpy little fire. This part really does not have to be too precise at all, but for a general rule of thumb, it should kind of look like one of these things. It's just how the line sort of wobbles up and down. And it's also good to add a few little blips here and there, just little sparks. You don't have to put too many of them, but I think they add a nice touch. Now don't worry at this point if your fire does not look too good yet. It's not going to look very good at this phase. It's going to look like the 5-year-old's cartoon fire that you don't want. Next, you're moving on to the more cartoony type of fire where basically we're going to do the same thing. Just kind of draw your little heart monitor thing, follow the shapes at the top generally, and you're pretty much good to go. Onto the 2 magic types. We're going to start a little bit different than the other ones. Added a little shine there, but I also want to add a big light to the corner. I don't know why, maybe I just like the comic book looking effect to it, but I just think it looks nice. And just a few little extra shapes for good measure. And for the purple one, you see that I picked a light pinkish purplish color here. And we're literally just gonna do the same thing, except purple. Alright, moving on to this explosion here. I'm gonna get back to my orangish color. And actually, I'm not gonna do the bottom. I'm going to be doing the tops. So that's about it for the explosion one. Alright, so we're all done with the lighting bit. Okay, so now make sure that your layer is still clipped. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. And you don't wanna make this too blurry, but just enough to where it's noticeable. Then what we're gonna do is turn our layer to add glow. And that's already gonna make it look a little more like fire. But then we're gonna get our airbrush. In Clip Studio Paint, any brush can be an eraser if you just select the transparent option. I really like that about Clip Studio. Then what you're gonna do is take your eraser or your airbrush set to transparent, and you're gonna start erasing the tips of some of these. Don't over erase them, but you do wanna have that orangey color showing through. Now this next step really makes it look nice, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to our orange layer, or purple layer, or whatever color you used, and you're going to lock the transparent pixels. In Clip Studio Paint, you press this button. I don't know about other drawing programs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on the orange layer, choose a more yellowy orange color, and you're gonna airbrush the bottom of the fire a little bit. Also for the fire, I thought it looked kind of nice when I went back and added a deeper red to the tips of the flames. Alright, so the fire is already starting to look a lot more like fire. So what we're gonna do is gonna add a lot of glow to the fire. Unlock the transparency of the orange layer. Then we're gonna take that layer and duplicate it. Once you've duplicated the layer, pick the layer on the bottom. And usually what I do is I just do a transparency lock again on the layer on the bottom and then fill it with a bright red color. Alright, so now we have this underneath our original fire. What we're gonna do is make sure to untransparency lock this or else it won't work. Go to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. And then we're gonna strengthen that quite a bit, and that will add a lot of glow to our fire. So our fire is basically done at this point, but this is a great time to add little effects, extra sparks, things like that before finishing off. So I think that's about it for right now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again next time.